That should give us a starting point.
All right.
So, yeah, we're pretty much free to start anytime. Oh, hi! I didn't see you there. That's right. Welcome to another DECKadent episode.
Smoke tank.
I'm not calling it
Up in
DECKadent.
smoke.
Stop it, you.
Damn it.
So, every time you...
Fucking smoke.
Plumber doesn't give me this guff.
This is the wrong show.
Yeah.
I actually borrowed this shirt from Plumber.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. So anyways, we're here because my brother Dylan
That's me.
sent me a message, rather obscurely this week, saying, hey, that reminds me of something. Shouldn't we be doing DECKadent on Thursday and talking about The Wild Robot? Now, as anyone who knows me knows, I love cartoons. I love them so much. Mm-hmm. But I don't have children, so a grown man going to a movie theater by himself, especially one who looks like me, going in there and sitting by himself, laughing, crying, it's gonna
Often
be...
immediately after school, too. When you
That's a good point. Yeah, it's like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Yeah, tell you what kind of kid is at a 3 o'clock in the afternoon movie? Kid with a cool parent. That's who. Or parents who don't care about homework. But that's neither here nor there. So anyway,
you repeat yourself.
So anyway, so Dylan sends the message through the group chat about, hey, you should check out this movie. I think you're really gonna like it. So I come home and I'm like, yeah, okay, well, let's do it Thursday. So that gives me a little time to like sit and watch it, and I sat down to purchase it. And Dylan, you had no way of knowing this, but it is $30. It is in theater pricing.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So much like John Hammond, spared no expense. And my father and I,
We watched it.
we sat down to watch The Wild Robot yesterday, as a matter of fact.
Ah.
And
So to split the cost, you made Dad watch it, too. And then
So now it's $15 a person.
$15.
now he gets to do the video. It all makes sense.
So I'm going to start off a little spoiler-free. I'm not sure there's a whole lot of spoilery stuff to talk about other than scenes we like and things we're glad they did or did not do. But from my point of view, I found this to be a beautifully animated, wonderfully scored, thrilling, emotional adventure, just all about like small things.
Yes.
You know, it's like, and at first I thought the movie was moving too fast because it's like, what, hour and 40 minutes with credits? So we're talking maybe a 90-minute movie in total. And I thought, oh, this pacing's too fast. Like, I would like to sit with these characters more. But no, this movie was smarter than me. They were like, here's your preamble, here's your meat, here's, like, it's just paced so well. All these characters, they get their motivation set up early, they get payoffs later. It's just very smart writing.
Yeah, it was very well structured, because I agree with you, because there's a point that happens where you're like, oh my goodness, is this the end of the movie?
Right.
Right? And then you see how much time is left. It's like, what are they actually doing? And they actually move into a very crisp, individualized Act 2, and then they move into Act 3. And so it's divvied up very, very well, you know, especially for a cartoon, you know, and it wasn't afraid to really take that chance of, you know, really going for it with that structure, you know, and I'm glad they did, you know, it's definitely better for it. So it's almost like 3 smaller movies in a way, but it's very cohesive. It's such a good
it's definitely
line.
3 different kind of acts
Yes.
of what they were trying to do. You know, the first phase, the whole learning phase, and going through the kind of the comical, hey, I'm a robot, may I help you kind of thing. You know,
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty funny, and nobody can talk back. You know, and then the learning mode and stuff like that. It was pretty cool.
No, I guess broadly what this movie is about is a robot, is presumably in the not too distant future. It's based off
It's
books
pretty
I haven't
distant in
read.
the future.
Yeah, or is it? Maybe that's part of the alarmism behind the movie. I don't know. No, there's no alarmism. So anyway, no, it's remarkably straightforward.
It's alarmingly delightful.
It is. There's a robot that gets lost on an island, presumably on the Pacific Northwest.
It's got to be Pacific Northwest based on like the trees and the elevation.
And they fly over San Francisco. So, and the robot is looking to fulfill a task, you know, and it can only find animals. So it eventually pulls a Dr. Dolittle, learns how to speak to the animals.
I would say it pulls more of a 13th Warrior and learns the languages by sitting there and kind of processing
Well,
everything.
couldn't we say the 13th Warrior pulled a Dr. Dolittle?
I don't think so. But anyways, yes, through happenstance, yeah, if you've seen the trailer, you've seen it. Through happenstance, the robot ends up caring for a baby gosling and has until winter to teach it how to be.
Yeah.
And that is kind of like the broad strokes of it. I don't want to get into too much stuff if you haven't seen it. So real quick roundtable, because then I want to talk about things I really appreciate, which will be spoilery. So real quick roundtable, 2 massive thumbs up for me. This might be one of my, this probably could be my favorite movie of the year due to recency bias, but also because I don't really remember what else came this year. And this movie's going to stick with me for a long time.
All right, I'm going to hop in here. I don't know if I like it more than Kung Fu Panda 4, which I give Big Ben.
Get out of here.
I give Big Ben a lot of crap about how good Kung Fu Panda 4 is on my other show,
Do you think Kung
Reels
Fu
of
Panda 4
Justice.
is better than this?
No, I don't.
Oh.
But I think some of it might be recency bias. So I'm willing to keep an open mind and rewatch Kung Fu Panda 4. But right now, Wild Robot it probably is my favorite film of 2024 so far. Yeah.
All right, for me, it was like, this was really good. The animation was good. Like you said, the music was good. The sets or the design of everything as they were doing, I thought was fantastic. And for a robot movie, I rate it right up there with Iron Giant, which is like one of my favorites.
High praise.
You know, it does have almost like an Iron Giant
it's kind of like an
quality.
Iron Giant kind of thing in it, and I really liked it.
It was very redolent of Iron Giant, but like in a good way.
Oh, yes, very much so.
It's like
Yeah, absolutely. Hold on a second.
Yeah.
Quick time, make sure I'm still recording here. All right, we're good. I'm keeping that in. All right. I'm nervous.
no, it's kind of like how a lot of people called Brahms' First Symphony Beethoven's 10th.
Jesus.
You know.
Anyways,
Okay, I'll just say
we're done here.
It's
So yes, we all recommend go seeing the movie. We all had a great time watching it.
100%.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So you
And
said
Dad and I have something in common.
Yes.
We watched it with our kids.
Touche.
no, I watched it with somebody's kid. So there are a few things here that now we're going to slip into a little more spoiler territory, not because necessarily the movie is like super plot dense and requires a deconstruction, but I think there's lots of things that I want to explain why I like this movie so much.
Yeah, the themes, the
like
message.
thematically.
Yeah.
It's really nothing new under the sun. It's kind of that, so spoilers, it's kind of that found family style of story, you know?
Yeah, very much so.
It starts with a little bit of tragedy. The robot, through no fault of her own, destroys the goose nest, right? Except for one egg, right? And you're like, okay, so it'll have to teach it. Which I didn't really think about this because when I saw the trailer, I thought it was just like, how's a robot going to teach the goose? You know, it's going to be difficult. But to then add in this extra layer of depth for the gosling, that he's the runt of the litter, and that he probably would not have survived in any other situation if the robot hadn't taken him
They
in.
do say that quite explicitly.
Yes, and I thought it was
Bill
great.
Nighy's goose character
Yeah,
tells
yeah.
them straight up, like you
Long
owe,
neck or whatever
yeah,
his
you
name is,
owe
right?
Roz your life because you're a runt and you never would have survived.
There are no
without
other
her.
geese your size here.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and man, good voice casting too.
Oh,
it's
God.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, and all the kids' voices are so cute too, like the possums.
Oh, the possums are great.
Yeah.
They're always talking about, because when you play possum, you die. So every line of dialogue from the possum children is about their proximity to death and how death is around the corner.
Yeah, no, it's very good.
Proximity to death is what gives life joy.
We really like your new baby. We hope
No,
it
you
doesn't
can't let
die.
Squirrel time.
Nope, he's in the neighbor's yard.
We'll continue.
All right,
All right, so jumping
cutting
back into it. Yes, the him being the runt is super important. They do a lot of really clever things with showing like the passage of time, like with the laser etched photos of him growing up.
Yep.
So, and then you can tell that he spent a lot of time with Roz based on the way he speaks. And all these things that kind of make him like the social outcast also kind of give him like all the skills he needs. I mean, there's nothing new under the sun. We've seen these kind of things before. It's just exceptionally well done. And I think,
Yeah.
as you were saying, the voice acting really elevates it.
It really does. I'll butcher her name, but whoever does the voice of Roz, just,
Lupita Nyong'o, I believe.
yeah, she just absolutely crushes it. Does such a great job. Sounds like how you would want a server robot to
Right.
sound. You know, like
Yeah.
very, very pleasant, very matter of factly. But then, as the movie goes on, as she has to inflect more emotion into her lines, you know,
Yes.
it really lands, and it's very gradual, and it doesn't feel jolted at all. The way she's able to pull it off, you know, so immense talent. Like if they ever did Oscars for voice acting, you know,
They should.
I would say like she should be at the top of the consideration for sure, right after Jack Black for Kung Fu Panda 4, of course.
Oh my god.
Plugging Kung Fu Panda 4.
Yeah. Yeah, it is ultimately a movie about like parents having to let their kids go, kind of thing, right? So I thought that was handled very well when Roz eventually does have to let was it Bright Bill?
Bright Bill, yep.
Yeah.
Bright Bill kind of go, and there's a lot of like, it sounds schmaltzy when you say it out loud, like lines like, it's like, I forgot to tell her something. It's like, maybe the message got to her anyway. Sometimes the heart sends a message that the mouth doesn't.
Yeah,
have
it was funny. I read one review that says, "Oh, but it's not too heavy-handed." I'm like, it's a little heavy-handed.
It's a little heavy-handed,
but like not in like a too bad.
It wasn't too
kinda
bad.
way.
At the
Yeah.
same time, through most of the movie, a lot of the other animal characters still regarded her as the monster. Still referred to her as she's the monster, that kind of thing. But
it's true. I think they did a really good job. Speaking of the other animals on the island, they did a really good job. Just kind of like it takes a village mentality, like how everybody kind of came together to kind of do like these simple tasks and these goals. When they brought in Ving Rhames as like, what was his name? Thunderbeak or something? Thunderbolt or whatever.
Yeah.
I thought that was hilarious. He's like, you think your small wings are bad, but they give you maneuverability.
Yeah.
And like that skill ends up being important
it's
later.
true.
So it's like all these things they set up.
And
get
don't
payoffs.
forget the wonderful Matt Berry.
I was going to say that one for you. I knew you were going to love
Matt
Matt
Berry is the beaver, and he does a fantastic impression. Yeah, no, he does. Of course, he's great. No, everyone was firing on all cylinders as far as that goes. And I do think the theme is interesting, right? Because what do we see with Roz? And actually, I love this little aside. Rosm, named after Rosm's Robots, where the term robot actually comes from, which is a stage play, even though they're more androids. And that's one of the trivia facts I know, not from The Simpsons, but I know from Batman the Animated Series.
Interesting.
Exactly. So anyway.
Yeah, it's like a Czech word, right?
I think
it is.
I think it was. So anyway, Rosm's Robots, and so it's a Rosm unit. Call me Roz. I've been watching a lot of Frasier too, so it was just funny. It was like, call me Roz.
Call me Roz.
Completely different maternal instincts. So what's interesting is that Roz, to adapt to this task, she ends up talking to another robot about how she's overwriting her programming and how she's improvising too much, and it feels like she's not using her processing unit, i.e. her brain, but using something else. And it's a robot, so it's complicated, but the idea is not uncommon in some of these things, even like looking at like the Iron Giant, is this idea of ensoulment that we're seeing even in what is ostensibly an inanimate object, right? I mean, she is a robot. Like, that's the thing too. It's like you shouldn't feel anything, So it's very interesting that we get to see her develop human emotions, even though we don't deal with humans in this movie. And I think that's
we deal with them as like they're like a secondary kind of like an abstract. We know they're out there, but we never get the scene of like.
Well, it's more like we know they're out there. The characters don't. So the characters have to deal with all their human emotions, even though they're animals and robots, which is probably a lot more palatable for kids to understand.
Yeah, probably.
And so I thought that was actually handled really well, though it does start getting a little sticky where you have all the animals teaming up together, and then at some point you do have to acknowledge, like, okay, but like
you're gonna have to eat
carnivores.
Someone.
They're gonna be. Yeah, I mean, we already saw. Fink eating crabs with impunity. And so you do kind of have that issue, which they've wisely sidestepped because it is a kid's movie. I wish they didn't have the bear say the line like, we'll go back to chasing you tomorrow. And I just kidding. And it's like they should have left that in.
They should have just left it in because it's true.
Because it's true. If it became down between Fink and the bear, it would have. The bear would eat Fink.
100%.
So that was an interesting choice, but I understand why they did it, and it is still a pretty good message on the whole.
You're right. It is a children's movie.
That
it's
is the
based
thing,
off children's
because
books.
everyone is saying, it's about othering. It's like, well, animals have to other each other. That's how they survive. Humans, we don't have to, so I get it. So trying to make the human allegory is a
People are always mad about something.
But,
people, they see something that is genuinely joyful, and it must be a negative if they don't.
Oh no, it's not a negative. They mean it in a good way. It's like, this is why you don't other, because that way the robots can save you.
Right. No, I have avoided anything on the internet about this movie because I had heard it was pretty good, and that was about the extent of it. Because internet discourse is, sometimes.
Oh yeah,
wild.
I know it.
And especially with animals in it, I'm gonna rather avoid that community altogether. But I really enjoyed this movie. Like I said, a lot of the thematic elements. I loved how they show like the progression of Bright Bill. I liked the that Roz came back.
Yep.
You know, it was like, you know what? I'm not going back. I'm going to
Yeah.
stay here for at least one more season, or maybe I'll just live here. You know, talking about how like the internal metrics were all messed up, so it has to rely on solar power. So now the robot has a sleep cycle.
Yeah.
Which I thought was pretty neat. You know, overall, I just really enjoyed the movie.
Yeah,
Just very emotional.
it does pack a wallop because, you know, when Bright Bill's telling Roz, like, oh, they're going to, like, wipe your memory, they'll take everything away. And she goes, what makes me isn't up here, it's in here.
Yeah.
And again, a robot, like, doesn't
Yeah.
really have a soul, but I get it.
Yeah, well, it could have rewired itself. I mean, because let's be honest, the stuff inside, because I was thinking about that at the end of the movie, when Roz rips out all her
Yes.
stuff and puts Bright Bill in it. And I was like, well, that's a heroic sacrifice. And then it turns out Roz is like, I already told you, I've rewired everything. This thing hasn't worked in like a year. And I'm like, oh yeah, I guess so. But it is still very dramatic.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh my God, they're going to kill her.
Yeah, and again, that was another thing that was very redolent of Iron Giant.
Yeah.
You know, and they were very wisely making calls to that, you know. And I agree with you, Dad. I think it's right up there with it, too. I think it was very good. And,
That's one I'd
you
go
know,
back and watch again.
yeah, for
100%.
sure.
Without
high
it,
in replayability.
real easy. Real easy to watch that one again.
Yeah, because, you know, like we're saying, like, it is pretty straightforward, you know. It's the whole
Yeah, there's no real
found
big
family.
twists. I kept waiting
Yeah.
for the other shoe to drop.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
I'm so
well, you know
like,
what
jaded.
I was waiting. So this kind of succeeds where Wally fumbled, you know, because when
Right.
Wally like brings in the humans, it
Focus
kind of
shifts.
it kind of takes away some of that almost wistfulness that you had where with Wally on Earth, and this by avoiding such direct usage of humans, and you know, there's obviously like the other evil robots and stuff, but
Yeah. But it's
well, they're not evil; they're just following their
Yeah,
programming.
it's just an AI that's sent to
Yeah.
retrieve her.
Yep.
Exactly. You know, I think they're able to keep that same feel with still telling a really compelling story.
Yeah, and the dialogue was quick and snappy for a lot of it. You had to pay attention sometimes, you know, like even when the robot came to get her. Well, yes, I'm very happy and cheerful to keep you off guard. Da, 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 da. You know, and it's just like, you know, I go, here we go. It's
Yeah. And when she sees you, she gets a feeling of crushing obligation.
obligations.
Yes,
Which is
that-
robot for love.
I did like that part. I always like little asides in them, like when Fink is telling the story, and you kind of get, you know, it's like, how do you know so much about love? And he's like, yeah, well, when you grow up without something. And I'm like, oh boy.
Here we go.
Oh,
Yeah, I had to
boy.
hit that note a couple times.
Yeah.
Don't worry, though,
you're
they
home.
love the fox too.
Yep.
And the mom possum, you know, she was pretty funny.
Absolutely.
You know, I got 7 Christ. 6 kids.
Don't worry, Mom, I'm not dead. Oh, pure joy. Yeah.
You know, that was an interesting thing. It didn't really shy away from like how brutal like nature can be. You know,
that's the
like-
beginning of the movie.
Yeah, it's towards the beginning of the movie.
Yeah. So I
obviously
think
it all
that's why you
softens
don't
up
have
with
to-
civil- yeah, but
Yeah, and even at the end when they did the snowstorm,
Yeah, that
the
was
one,
pretty neat
They
too.
opened it up. No.
yeah,
You know,
that's true.
that kind of stuff. So
Yeah, no, I think they
It
did
was.
a pretty good job showing that kind of stuff. And then, you know, of course, you know, once they no longer become just like animals in the wild, but become characters unto themselves, you
Yeah.
have to. Then, when you give them personalities, that's why they come together as a community, and then they fight to defend the island from the robots. They have to go back to Matt Berry's beaver to save everything, you know, at the end, which we all knew was coming for the third act.
Yeah.
You don't set up that thing without, you know, doing something else. But
Chekhov's gigantic tree.
yeah. So it was interesting for sure. I will definitely watch that movie again. I will. I have to run like a movie club at school for like our kids, and I'm gonna make them watch this movie because I want
hey, why not?
to. So
No, I
Why
think it's
not?
good. And like I said,
plus, think of that money evaluation, right? So it's already down to $15 a person. Now I split it across.
Split across all
down
the
to like
kids.
yeah,
That'll be good.
the next decadent bunch of school kids sitting with us also smoking.
sirens in the distance. Make it quick, kids.
3 minutes on your thoughts. Go, go, go. What was it? Oh, crap. What was I going to say? I had one kind of final thought on it, and it escapes me now.
That's okay.
That's all right.
So we also, one of the things we like to do in these decadent things, actually, you have a final thought you can't think of. Dad, is there a final thought on this movie? Anything in particular you want to say before we shift gears?
No, the fact I like the raccoons. If you're watching it, I like the raccoons. But they're funny.
They do infuse a lot of personality into all the animals.
I remember. So yeah, it is based off a novel, which I didn't
Book
read.
series.
A book series. Yeah,
Which is why it feels like short stories. 'cause it
exactly.
probably
So
is.
I assume then that leaves room for a sequel, more continuation. The books are probably going to sell better now because of this, so the guy might write
100%, I hope so.
write more. But I guess the books are appropriate for kind of like kids in that like 8 to 10
Yeah,
group.
okay.
So if you got kids out there and you're looking for a good book, it's supposed to be pretty good.
I mean, the end of the movie is pretty good. With Roz being like, oh man, they're just gonna keep coming for me. I thought I had bamboozled my way into freedom, but I haven't. So I'm gonna go back to them. I will learn what I need to learn, and I will find a way back to all of you. And that's a perfect setup for a
Well,
sequel.
you know what the second book is called?
What?
The Wild Robot Escapes.
Really?
So
Is it really called that?
That must
there
be
you
it.
Well,
go.
there you go. So we're already
So,
kind of
I'm
on,
just
we're
saying,
on the right path.
I'm kind of excited, and I like
I hope
the
it's the
Wild
same
Robot.
team. It's the same team because this is the guy who did How to Train Your Dragon.
That's what I was gonna say. It
Yep.
follows that.
That would be
I hope
okay.
But
it
I don't think
follows
he
the
did the
tradition.
second one though. He didn't do the second one.
I hope it follows the tradition of How to Train Your Dragon, where it kind of grows up with the audience.
Yeah, I
right?
think so.
Because How to Train Your Dragon 2, I'm on record, is one of the best sequels ever.
I think
it's
well, I think it's the best of
extraordinary.
the trilogy, honestly.
It is, but
Yeah.
I mean, even just divorce
Yeah,
it from that,
great
it's one of
movie.
the best sequels
Great movie.
ever, and I think they have the potential
It is
to
very
make a
mature,
sequel
yeah.
that good for the Wild Robot as well. Like they have enough of the world to work with,
Yeah.
where they could bring in more, make it bigger, but you're still really connected to these characters. So I think a sequel would be very appropriate, and if handled right, would be maybe even better.
It could be.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got a lot of potential, and now a lot of the character stuff's kind of out of the way, so you're free to get back
I mean, and
into.
how often do we actually ask for sequels nowadays?
No,
too?
never.
I mean,
I never ask for
Oh my
sequels.
goodness! And yeah, man, is the Wild Robot like one of the first well, it's not even an original IP because it's based off a book, but
Right.
still, I mean,
Yeah.
it's at least it's the first of something. So
Right, and like I said, it's a very fun movie, very simple, very focused.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, at first I thought it was going to move too fast, but no, it does a great job establishing your characters, establishing stakes. Here's what's next. Let's get to what's next. It tells a very fulfilling, very satisfying emotional journey with some unbelievable parts. I mean, with Bright Bill going through that windshield would have killed him.
Oh God, yeah, probably.
True.
But
Well,
other
it did
than
break his wing. You know what I mean?
it did break
break
his
his
wing. I
wing.
did mind that. There was
That's
still
true.
damage from it.
Oh man, wait! I just gotta say too. I still think the funniest part though is when Bright Bill's meeting the geese for the first time and he's swimming by.
Oh, he's using his arms.
He's like
He's
trying
moving
to
his
move
arms,
his
yeah,
arms like
yeah,
he's
yeah.
swimming. It's like, that's not swimming. He's like, oh sure it is. I can teach you how to do it.
yeah. His initials, his awkward interactions are very funny.
And the other goose, they walk by. Use your feet.
Lots of that kind of quippy, fun dialogue, and again, excellently voice acted.
Yeah.
I cannot stress enough how much I enjoyed this movie. It was worth $30.
Yeah.
And I am excited for a sequel.
Yeah, no, I really think the potential's there. I think this could be a really good
Yeah.
series. Absolutely.
So one of the other things we like to do on these episodes of Decadent, we like to talk about what we're smoking or even what we're drinking from time to time, things like that. So I'll start us off. This is no big surprise. I love them. I'm having a Rocky Patel Cargo, and I'm drinking and you are free to make fun of me, it is a pumpkin latte spiced nitro beer. And it's great. It's by Left Hand Brewing.
Viewing.
Viewing. I can't I haven't even had a full one. I could zoom in, but I'm probably not
Oh,
going to.
Left Hand does they do that nitro milk stuff that's
They
really
do a lot of good
too.
nitro
Yeah,
stuff.
they do. Okay.
So I'm enjoying that. It is unseasonably warm for even
is
like
warm.
winter beers. So it's like trying to find something that is like I can sit on the deck without like sweating more than I already do. I'm not I put a stout in me and I'll be like, it's a nap time. It's like, wake them up. We're talking about the robot movie. So Dylan, how about you?
Well, as friends of the show know, I'm friends with Brian Levine, who just got done hosting the Las Vegas Pipe Show in, get this, Las Vegas.
Vegas, yeah.
Yes, and it was a wonderful time. And while I was there, I met
Windy
the,
apple.
I met the carver of this pipe right here. His name was William Jennings. He was an authentic Texan. Had the hat, the buckle, the bolo tie. But he's been out of the game for 4 years, and he's been going to pipe shows selling the rest of his wares. And I was able to buy one of the last pipes he ever made.
Nice.
And so it's a fantastic smoker. I absolutely love it. And then what I'm smoking in it is from the Country Squire. It used to be called Old Toby, but he got in a little trouble. So now it's part of the Southern Fantasy series.
Oh no, that doesn't make it much better.
The jokes have been made, I assure you. So you can still get it, but it's under a new name, which I neglected to look up. But go to Country Squire and Southern Fantasy series. It's a wonderful aromatic. I usually don't smoke aromatics, but I figured, why not with all this autumnal opulence, smoke something very nice and cozy.
Very good. Very good.
Father?
I, too, am having a Rocky Patel Cargo. It is one of our go-to cigars. It pairs well with just about everything, and I have it paired with Sam's Oktoberfest, and it works quite well. We're sitting out here on the deck in the autumn. So
Oktoberfest is pretty good, reasonably priced.
Yeah, absolutely. So.
Oh, and I'm just drinking seltzer.
So
I'm
yours-
a little lame. Should have put it in a koozie.
No, we can put it in a glass, and I'm having a vodka seltzer. A white brine spritzer.
Spritzer.
Anyways, unless there's anything else, I think that brings this episode of Decadent to a wrap.
No, great
Perfect.
Halloween episode.
Well, we're pretty spooky.